We all know work can be demanding and stressful. For supervisors, one of the keys to creating a successful workplace often relies on positive working relationships with staff. To discuss this further, I'm joined now by Human Resources Specialist Sue Ellen Watts. Sue Ellen, good morning to you.
Yeah, look, it's not an epidemic by any means, but we are finding more and more situations in the workplace that are creating hostility. And hostility can be two different things. So we've got the extreme where there can be physical violence, and then we've got other things that may not feel like hostility, but it really is like people being not included or feeling like they're not part of the team.
Do you find in the really problematic scenarios it normally comes from management, or if there's someone at a lower level who's hostile and then that just spreads a bad vibe through the office?
Yeah, look, hostility absolutely spreads a bad vibe. But where it sits, it really depends. It can happen at management level or all throughout the workplace. However, what we do notice is that managers play a really big role in ensuring that we're dealing with hostility in the workplace.
All right, so what's the best way to deal with it? Because I imagine a lot of people who are hostile are not just hostile in the workplace, they have a general hostility about them. Is it best just to get rid of them?
There are a number of reasons why there could be hostility in the workplace. It could be a clash of personalities, it could be situations where someone's been promoted over another person, or a lot of the time it's about miscommunication. So what we need to be doing is really focusing on creating a culture where people can be open and have open discussions, particularly with their managers. But if it's happening to you, then ideally the situation would be that you talk to the person that you're having the problem with. Although I appreciate that can be quite challenging. So being able to go to your manager and talk that through is really important, and that's why we need our managers to be trained to deal with this sort of thing.
Can I ask you a difference between a stressful workplace and a hostile workplace? Because I imagine one can lead to the other.
Absolutely, and look, stress can cause us to be hostile, and hostility in the workplace can cause us to be really stressed. So there is absolutely a connection, but they're not necessarily related. People can be hostile because they're just not working through issues that they have.
All right. Do you find hostility is a bigger issue in a bigger workspace than in a smaller team?
I don't think it really makes a difference. Obviously, the more people you have, the more likelihood you could have situations arise. But just because you're in a big organisation doesn't mean that people are going to be more likely to be more hostile.
As a human resources specialist, when you go into these workplaces and you're dealing with issues around hostility and negativity, if it's the boss who's the problem and he's the one who's brought you in there, how do you deal with that?
That's one of those challenging days for us, because we need to have really open and honest conversations with the boss and how they're being perceived.
How does that go down?
Yeah, that can be a bit prickly for us sometimes.
Always appreciate your thoughts. Thank you very much, Sue Ellen. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks, Tim.